अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, सिंध टेलीविजन न्यूज़ पर हम आया हूं मेज़बान फयाज़ नाइच। नाज़रीन, अॼोके इन ख़ुसूसी प्रोग्राम में असां सां गॾु अमरीका जा पाकिस्तान जे अंदरि डिप्टी चीफ ऑफ द मिशन जनाब मिस्टर जोनाथन प्रैट साहब अचो था उन सां गुफ्तगू कयूं। मिस्टर जोनाथन प्रैट साहब, I welcome you in my show, and on the behalf of my viewers, I welcome you here in Karachi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Fayaz.
Most of the time, when I always interview any diplomat, I start my conversation with one thing. How do you guys adjust in different environments, working with different people, working with different cultures? Is it enjoying thing, or you get disturbed that life is disturbed, you have no place to live for long?
Sure. It's a good question. It's a very kind of unique lifestyle that we have. We'll move every 2 years or 3 years, and it's very exciting at first. You know, your first assignment is so exciting. My first assignment was in Congo, in Africa. And I remember when I went there, you know, it was my first diplomatic mission, and I was so full of energy, and really, people say that you never forget your first assignment.
What was your age that time?
I was 30 years old.
Oh, young man.
I was younger, and I was a political officer, and I was extremely fortunate to be able to work on the Congolese peace process. At the time, Congo was suffering from a civil war. There were 3 different rebel groups, and I was very fortunate and proud to be able to participate in the peace process along with the United Nations representatives and other countries. But we really took a lot of time to talk to each of the parties and propose solutions, and it was a great experience, and I've carried it with me to all of my assignments. But to answer your question, I think each assignment is very special. We get very deep into the country and the culture. I always try to read as many books as I can before I go. I have my sort of magic number is 10 is the minimum number of books that I try to read before I come to a country. And we try to study some of the language. We get to know people. We do consultations, we call them, meetings in Washington with people who know about the country and who work on the country from Washington before we go out. So we try to be well prepared. So it's always very exciting before going to it.
You have also worked on the Pakistan desk in the US State Department also.
I have, yeah. I've been lucky to be in 3 different jobs working on Pakistan. The first one was a political counselor in Islamabad for 3 years, 2010 to 2013. And then I was the Pakistan office director at the State Department from 13 to 15. And now back here as Deputy Chief of Mission. So, yeah.
You will, during your tenure, you have visited Islamabad, Karachi, and Lahore, and all those big cities. What kind of difference you have observed in Islamabad?
Between the cities?
Yeah. But for example, I ask Islamabad and Karachi, what is the difference?
Sure. Well, I mean, I have to say, you know, Karachi is a real city. Right, and it's
like New York.
It's a historic city. Yeah, exactly. It has this energy, and New York is a perfect comparison, or Shanghai. You know, I mean, it has this vibrancy and energy, and it's the economic engine of the country and the region, and it has so much history. And also, you know, the United States. So we share that history with you. You know, our embassy used to be here. This used to be the capital, and so there's so many iconic photographs of American and Pakistani leaders together. Jackie Kennedy was here, you know, President Truman was here, and so many exciting things. And Islamabad is a great city to work in. It is beautiful. The environment of the city could not be more perfect. You know, has the Margala Hills, the foothills of the Himalayas, and it's a stunning, beautiful place to live. But I have to say, Karachi is like a real city. So
what is the difference between Islamabad and Washington, D.C.?
So people compare them, actually. quite a bit. You know, there are jokes about the two cities that they're not as alive as they could be. But you know, I think the reality is that very serious politics and very serious diplomacy and you know, governance and leadership questions are occurring in both of those cities, and it's a great place to work, both Islamabad and Washington. We as diplomats generally prefer to be in another country, so for me it's much more fun to be working in Islamabad and in Pakistan. You know, back in Washington, it's the capital. It's hard work, and you know, being back in your home ministry, or for myself, the State Department.
The State Department.
It's hard work, working on the policy process, which is challenging. It's always difficult, and probably being in the field, as we say, being deployed overseas, working in Pakistan is much more exciting and rewarding.
What do you like in Karachi?
So the food is incredible, right? It just can't be. It can't be beat. The seafood is fantastic. We're lucky that you're generous with us in Islamabad, and you fly your seafood to us in Islamabad. And the shrimp, I mean, these enormous shrimp that come from the sea here. And so, you know, the conversations that I have with people are just different here in Karachi. It's more, I think that, you know, the conversations are maybe slightly less political and more about real life, right? They're more focused on business, jobs, you know, the economics, and you know, very serious investment questions that are taking place here in your city. I also like coming to Sindh as a province. I was extremely lucky to be able to go to Kot Diji.
I see.
A few years ago, that was in 2013. I went with our previous Consul General, Mike Dodman. He and I went to Kot Diji together. And then recently with Grace Shelton, our current Consul General, we went to Mohenjo-Daro. And that was it was amazing, really fascinating experience. And people are so welcoming in those places. You know, they give you the adrak and the topi, and it's just remarkable how welcoming they are.
Any similarities in Africa and this part of the world?
There are similarities, of course, yeah. I think, you know, many countries that are pushing their development forward, growing their economies, and, you know, dealing with real modern challenges, water challenges, energy challenges. The economy here is much bigger than anything I experienced in some of my assignments in Africa. But I think some of those assignments there really prepared me. I worked mostly in Africa and the Middle East. I also served in Jordan. With our current ambassador here, Ambassador Hale. We were there in Amman, Jordan together in 2003, 4, and 5. And you know, you bring lessons from each country in terms of learning about the culture.
What is the lesson from African countries?
From an African country?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was how my country could have a positive influence on, as I described, a very specific peace process. And it was really rewarding to be able to make that contribution to the Congolese peace process early in my career. And that gave me a lot of insight and motivation for how my country, how the United States could try to use its relationships and its influence in a positive way.
And the lesson from the Middle East, Jordan and Amman, what is that?
From Jordan?
Is it different or very much same?
Jordan is also a beautiful country. And you know, how do you compare one very beautiful country with another very beautiful country? In Jordan, it was the first Muslim country that I worked in, and that was a very important experience for me. Also, early in my career, it was my second assignment in the Foreign Service. So I was only 33 at the time.
You worked as a political officer?
I was actually a management officer there. So I was
see.
managing the embassy, which was a good experience and exciting because I was interacting with all of our local staff, all of the Jordanian national staff that we had in the embassy. And you know, I'm still friends with many of those staff. Years later, I'm on Facebook with them, and I know their children. I've gone back 2 or 3 times to visit. So as an introduction to a Muslim country with great traditions and a very warm culture, Jordan was a perfect place to learn.
But it was quite different from Africa.
Yeah, of course it was. I mean, they shared some similarities. Like I said, development challenges, also water is a big issue. In some ways, Jordan and Pakistan share some similarities because of the challenges of water and scarcity.
Your American experience is also very interesting because you born on the East Coast and your education on the West Coast.
So I've got both. I've got a bi-coastal experience. It's true.
So, which you enjoyed more? You living on the East Coast or
That's a good
studying at the California?
That's a tough question. California is very beautiful. It's a really, really stunning place. You know, I lived in Los Angeles for 2 years and San Diego also for 2 years, and it's a beautiful state. Sometimes I ask myself, why did I leave? But the East Coast is beautiful too. And of course my job when I go back, it's in Washington. So I can't escape going to the East Coast. Maybe I'll retire in California. We'll see.
So you wish to go back to California?
Inshallah.
Wonderful. Why you chose to study in California? Because I have visited 3 or 4 times USA.
Sure.
Most of the people go there for studies. Is California, because here in Pakistan we think that Boston is the hub of the education of the United States. But mostly Americans go to California for studies. Why?
Sure. Well, California has a very good public education system and a public university system.
Of course, this is the biggest state of the United States.
That's right. It's a very strong state, and it has a very strong university system. So the University of California is very strong.
Yeah.
So everybody in my country knows UCLA. It's in Los Angeles. I went to UC San Diego, University of California, San Diego. And they're great schools. It's a very strong system, and it shows the value of having a strong university, a public university system. So I wanted to go there and experience that. I also spoke Spanish, and I still do speak Spanish, and San Diego is right down on the border with Mexico. So that gave a lot of opportunities to, on the weekends, to go down to Mexico and practice my Spanish. And there are a lot of people in San Diego who speak Spanish as well. So it was an opportunity to continue using my Spanish.
Okay, well, Jonathan, you have been working in Pakistan since last 7 years because you came here in 2010 and then you worked on this. How do you see the relationship of these two countries, Pakistan and America?
We have an extremely important relationship, and one that is, I think, more diverse and complex than anyone really appreciates. We work on dozens of issues together, from economic development to nuclear security, to counterterrorism, to education, to agriculture, to immigration issues, to law enforcement, health, security issues, military issues. Our relationship is extremely vast, and we use that word constantly to describe it, that it's very, very vast, very diverse. And I think that'll continue. The United States is Pakistan's biggest export market. You send more of your exports to America than any other country. And we're very proud of that. We like buying all of your products. We want to buy more of your products. We think it drives the Pakistani economy. And so the relationship is very strong. We also have a lot of Pakistanis in the United States.
Yeah.
There are many prominent Pakistanis who have been...
I interviewed many. Last year I went on TV co-op project of the United States. I interviewed so many Pakistanis. It was the month of Ramadan, I think, last year. So there are so many Pakistanis. They were active in different political parties, mostly in Democrats, and some of them were for the Republicans.
Yeah.
They were very active there.
Right. No, you have a very strong community.
Diaspora, we have very strong diaspora there.
Incredibly strong and very organized as well. You have professional associations. You have people on Wall Street. You have doctors and lawyers and as you said, politicians.
Which part of Pakistan you like more?
Is this a trick question?
I don't know.
Well,
it's a very, very simple, very straight.
Obviously, Sindh province and the city of Karachi. How could I answer in any other way, given that I'm sitting in Karachi?
But you have been, most of the time you have spent in Islamabad.
In Islamabad, it's
so
true.
the viewers, we have viewers in Islamabad too.
It's true. It's true. It's true. No, the reality is that I've spent more of my life in the last 10 years. I've spent more of my life in Islamabad than any other place. I've spent 5 years of the last 10 years I've been living in Islamabad. So I really enjoy living there. It's the work is incredibly rewarding.
Last time I interviewed American ambassador, Mr. Cameron Munter. And when I started interviewing, he told me that I am here on the honeymoon because his wife was also appointed here in USAID.
Right.
So he said that we as a diplomat, we have lesser opportunities to live with our families together.
It's true. It's actually very difficult. My wife was here with me also, and she was also with USAID in Islamabad. She is, her name is Bridget. She's with the State Department, actually. She's been 10 years in the State Department. So she's now in China, and that's where I'll be going for my next assignment to
so you are
Beijing.
Following, you are still following.
Yes. I'll be following my wife, which is the way it should be, right?
So this is good that still you are not following anyone else, you are following your wife.
That's right.
So, your experiences in Pakistan?
Well, in terms of places that I've been,
Memories,
locations?
any memories?
Memories? Well, I've got so many friends that we could spend the next 2 hours talking about all of the friendships I've developed. I've described the 2 trips in Sindh that were remarkable, to Kot Diji and to Mohenjo-Daro. I also went as far up as Gotki several years ago.
Gotki is in my home district.
No kidding.
Really?
So I went there 4 years ago, which was a great trip.
You went there for?
As a political counselor. We were doing a tour of Upper Sindh. We started in Sukkur, and then we finished the trip in Gotki, and then traveled back down.
You went there to Mahars?
Yes, exactly. which is a great opportunity to meet them and understand that part of Sindh. I also went to the northern areas. I went to Skardu. That was a beautiful trip. I feel lucky that I was able to make it to your northern areas that are so remarkable. But you know, I've worked on so many issues and important experiences that I've had here. You know, I was here when we negotiated to reopen the NATO supply line into Afghanistan. We spent a lot of time doing that and strengthening the relationship between our two countries in 2012 and 13.
Those were very difficult days. When
they were.
As a diplomat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have that experience in me of, you know, working on that challenge and finding solutions and moving forward, which was very rewarding.
So memories, anything which you really will never forget in your Pakistan tenure?
My time here.
Yeah.
I have to say that those trips that I've taken to see your country, you know, outside of the city, are
any really incident, any kind of gathering, any kind of music, any kind of cultural event, you think you will not be able to forget that?
Sure. Well, you know, during my first 2 years, if you want to focus on music, the experience that I had listening to Qawwali in Islamabad in people's homes was remarkable. Yeah, I have to say.
You are a music lover or not?
I am, yeah.
You like, which kind of music you like?
I like everything.
Everything means?
Everything.
Rock music or pop music, folk music, or?
I think I would, if you had to pin me down, I would focus more on rock and pop music from the 70s and 80s, which is when I was growing up.
You like Arabic music, you like Western music, or you like Eastern music, you like?
I do. I like all of it. I also like your music here in Pakistan. I was very impressed by some of the artists with Coke Studios a few years ago.
Yeah.
There were two performers, I think their names are Zeb and Hania, who were well known and still are very well known, quite impressive at the time. I was lucky to see them perform in Islamabad in 2012 as they were going on the Coke Studio tour. That was pretty impressive. And I think they went to the United States after that as well.
Yeah. Most of the time, people think that Pakistan, especially the diplomats from the Western countries, they think that Pakistan is a difficult place to live there. What is your experience?
I have the opposite experience.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the experience?
I've really enjoyed living here. You know, I think.
But in many places, in many countries, you go without any security, you go outside, but here you have to go with the security.
It's true.
And you cannot mingle up with the common people. You cannot go into the common markets. You will have to make arrangements. This is a kind of barriers that you cannot move freely.
Right. No, you're right. But at the same time, we're able still to get out and get to know people and travel. You know, I've been able to see all of your big cities, Lahore and Karachi and Peshawar. I was even able to live in Peshawar for 2 months in 2010, which was a really great experience. And, you know, I think there's nothing like the experience of...
You were there, Peshawar?
I was, yeah, for 2 months in 2010.
2010.
So I was the acting consul general, so long time ago.
I see. And what is the experience of Peshawar?
It was fantastic.
Because I watched the movie 0:30. There are very much good scenes of Peshawar too.
True, but I think, you can't base everything on the movies.
Yes, of course. That
So-
was a movie. That was not a.
And, you meet people.
Yeah.
And you establish relationships. And one thing that I will remember in particular from Peshawar is playing cricket with our national staff.
I see.
On the weekends, every Sunday, I would play cricket with our consulate team. And that was the first time I had any experience with cricket. So that was good. And then that meant that on Sunday, I was able to follow the match in London between Pakistan and India. And I think you can guess who I was rooting for in that match. And I actually understood what I was watching, thanks to my time in Peshawar.
So now you understand the cricket. This is
A little bit.
This is
A little bit.
This is learning for an American to
That's true.
know about the basics of the cricket.
That's true.
What is the batting, what is the bowling,
right.
and what is the fielding.
Right.
And if someone catches ball, what does that mean?
That's right.
And someone hits the ball out of the boundary, what does that
Right.
mean?
It's a 6.
So you have understood a lot of the cricket.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. A little bit.
Little bit,
A little
okay.
bit. Enough to enjoy it.
Okay. Well, Jonathan, in 7 years, what do you think, what the US have been doing here in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Any projects or something? Because
Yeah.
America is a big country.
Yeah.
He's doing so many projects in
Yes.
different different part of the world.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you asked that because we've focused heavily on building up the economy of Pakistan. We put 3,000 megawatts into your energy infrastructure at Tarbela Dam. I think the United States helped build the Tarbela Dam in the 1970s. And just 5 years ago, we put in new turbines, new hydro turbines at the Tarbela Dam. Right now we're building other dams like the Kurramtangi Dam in Waziristan. And we've done some really important projects here in Sindh. I think you know about the Jamshoro thermal project. You probably know about the Sindh wind farm that we've been involved in. You know about the hospital that we built in Jacobabad.
Yeah.
And we've been very, very proud to add to the maternity wing at Jinnah Hospital here in Karachi. And we have the biggest education exchange program in the world between the United States and Pakistan with our Fulbright program, where we send Pakistani students to the United States to study on scholarships.
It's the biggest one or the second one after Egypt?
It's the biggest in terms of the cost. It's the biggest in terms of the cost, and we're very proud of it. And something else that we do that you might not be as aware, we also provide scholarships here in Pakistan. USAID provides scholarships to students who deserve an education and are, for example, from very remote parts of the country, to send them to top universities here in Pakistan. So we're really proud of the
I
investments.
think your USAID is also working on school building projects, because
That's right.
in this budget I saw the allocations that were supported by the USAID.
That's absolutely right.
And
We've built a lot of schools.
Last time I was here in this hall, and there was a workshop on the local bodies, and there were the people of belonging to different parts of the local governments. They were sitting into Lincoln corners of Atlat Khana and Khairpur. So Lincoln corners are also established in different parts of Sindh.
That's exactly right.
So, but the image building of the United States here, how do you analyze in these 5 to 7 years that because of these projects, these initiatives, do you think that
It has a result?
positive image building, or you think
I
it's
do.
still there a problem?
I do. I mean, I'm very proud of the contribution that these projects have made to Pakistan's stability and to your economic growth. I think the energy projects in particular have really helped contribute to the engine of Pakistan's economy, which is now growing at more than 5%. And I don't think it would have been possible without those 3,000 megawatts that we've added in all of these projects in the last 5 years. So we're very proud of that. But we've also worked on security projects together, agriculture. I think a lot of people know about our investments in the orange and citrus, the Kino orange, also cotton. Many farmers in Punjab benefit from our cooperation on cotton and trying to ensure that the product is healthy. And that benefits normal people, farmers, and the economy in Pakistan.
Image building, I just want to know what do you think that when you started working in Pakistan 7 years ago, or now when you are near to the completion of your tenure, second tenure, do you think there is positive image has been built or any increase in the positive image?
I do, yeah. And the way that I see that is in terms of the visibility that our embassy and consulates have for the outreach programs, the education programs, the economic programs, but also the cultural programs that we've had, and especially here in Karachi. We've brought in American music bands, and we've sent your musicians to the United States, and there's been a wonderful exchange, between the two countries. And I think people see that, and I think the visibility of these of this relationship is quite high. But of course, I'm sure you're thinking of some of the challenges that we've also had. We've had some difficulties, but I think we've overcome most of those challenges, and I think we still have a ways to go.
Anything you want to share in the last, any message, any kind of anything which I have been unable to ask you, anything you want to share?
Sure. Well, I have to say it's been an honor for me to work here in Pakistan all of these years. 7 years of my life dedicated to this country and this bilateral relationship between America and Pakistan. It means, it means a lot to me. And I hope that when I come back, if I can come back, if I'm so lucky, in 5 or 10 or 15 years, I am confident that Pakistan will be even stronger and even more secure, and that it'll be an even better place to live when I come back.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Hope to see you again in Pakistan. And I wish you all those things which you are saying about Pakistan. We also wish that we want to see our country in a very strong position, in as a better place to live. Thank you for your good wishes for Pakistan, for our country. Thank you very much. नाज़रीन, जोनाथन प्रैट साहब सां जेके अमरीकी जेको आहे एम्बेसी में डिप्टी चीफ ऑफ द मिशन आहिनि, उन सां सॼी गुफ़्तगू तां ॿुधी। प्रोग्राम जो वक़्तु पूरो थिए थो। पंहिंजे मेज़बान फयाज़ नाइच खे इजाज़त सदाईं गॾु।